the adults may be okay, but how are their kids? I'm not a psychologist. I do not study that. I don't think it's good.
Hey, you guys, thank you for joining us once again. We're about to dive into part 2 of this discussion where we really focus on how do you preserve and maintain the mental wellness of your children when you yourself are struggling with a mental illness. You are not going to want to miss this discussion with our amazing panelists.
It's always great to have you ladies back on the panel. And now do I really need to introduce y'all? Y'all are like resident panelists. Everybody knows Dr. Trisa, everybody knows Dr. Black, and everyone now knows ZuShanna Turner.
Ask a question on that though.
Mm-hmm.
They themselves, the adults, may be okay, but how are their kids?
Well, one in particular that I'm thinking of, her child is very young.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
their world is only about this big.
knowing some of the children that have had to and I hate saying to be socialized, or how they were socialized during the pandemic, especially if they were the only child.
Yeah,
that's not good. I mean, this sounds like maybe in school and things, but I'm not a psychologist. I do not study that. I don't think it's good.
Yeah, well, some of us in their lives are judging, but are we the ones that need the therapy is my question, because they're comfortable in their new normal. They have accepted it, they're okay with it, they've reestablished a new normal for their lives, and they just don't go out, they just don't socialize, they are kind of in their bubble and they're okay with that new bubble. Do they need help, or are they just fine? Do we just leave them alone and let them live?
I think we can leave them alone, right? Because as you said, if they're happy, they're functioning, there's no impact on their life in a severe or moderate way, then if it's not broke, you don't fix it, right? But my question to that person would be, are you aware of how much change?
Yeah. And how do you adjust as a mother? Put a mom's on a couch. Like, how do you guys not allow I think the point that Dr. Trista was bringing up that I did not expound on, but I think that's where you were going, is just how the decisions of the adults affect the wellness of kids, and how do you create a healthy balance between protecting that's a great point. Let's touch on that real quick. Protecting your mental wellness. As I think about it more, I'm like, that's actually a necessary talk. Protecting your mental wellness, and at the same time, not allowing your mental wellness to then create a dysfunction in your child. So how do you do that?
I'm gonna pass that over to y'all mental health counselors. Not touching
it.
I'm gonna say
I just try to do what I can.
I'm gonna say it on a basic level. You make a choice, right? Every day we have choices. And so for me, the same way I evaluate what I feed my kids, right? I'm not going to feed them certain fast food every day, but I make a choice to say, here's a treat. That had to happen with what we're living through because the pandemic is not over. I had to make choices daily. I had to evaluate, is this helpful for them? Is this healthy for them? What are they missing out on? What do they need, right? And they need social interaction. They needed to go back to school. They need to go to a birthday party. They may not go to every birthday party, but I really had to make informed.
How do you know that they needed social interaction? Because some kids like to be isolated and some kids like to be. So how did you know?
You want the mom answer?
Yes. What's the mom?
They were driving me up the wall.
No truer words have ever been spoken.
That's the answer that most women face, that most parents face.
And no, seriously, I could see it from them in various ways. My oldest is actually more introverted. He likes alone time, but he was asking for his friends. He was asking to spend time with them. So a child who is like, I'm okay being on my computer, I'm okay reading a book, he was asking to spend time with others.
Hmm.
He
Dr.
was
Black,
recognizing.
how do I know you would sum up? I'm sorry, I had to come back to you also on this topic because I think it's something that I think it's a great point. Like, how do you balance your mental wellness with your child, your dependent,
The needs of the needs of the child.
the needs of your child? Because
They're wants, but there's certain things that are needs.
You
Sure.
have to you have to pay attention to yourself as well as them. You have to acknowledge what you need as well as what they need. And
so
I think
I feel for my mental health, I want to be isolated, but I have a 3-year-old.
but this is the thing. If I am looking for people to respect the fact that I need to be isolated, how can I not respect the fact that my child may need some interaction, right? And then I provide safe interaction for them, right? So you think we talked about touching the fire. My child wants to help me cook. I'm going to make it safe for them to help me cook. I'm not just going to say no. I'm not just going to say you can't come in the kitchen. I'm going to figure out ways to get them involved, right? In safe ways, in age appropriate ways. And so I had to do that and make sacrifices. And I think we all have to do that on various levels in various environments, but specifically with the pandemic, I had to make sacrifices so that they could also be mentally well and get their needs met.
You're very self-aware, right? And
I'm
you're very
learning.
well. No, you are, and you're a mental health therapist, but some adults are not as self-aware. So should everyone who is challenged with a mental health condition that has a child have their child be evaluated to see if their child is being negatively affected?
I think we should seek out supports. I think you can find support within your school, whether it's a trusted adult within the school or it's actually a counselor within the school or outside help, whether you're talking to your pediatrician or you're asking your pediatrician for a recommendation based on something that you're observing. And,
But what if you're not observing? Because some people are just not very, like they're in their world.
That's when
That's
when it takes a village, right? Hopefully a teacher is seeing that there's some need. Hopefully a friend. And I'm gonna say honestly, Trisa was talking about it. Trisa definitely called me out. Trisa definitely was like, I need you back. I need you to like, I know this is tough. I know this is difficult. I know this is challenging. I know you had a newborn. I honor that. I respect that. But also, and so you have to have people around you, family members, friends, that are willing and able to say, hey, I love you. I respect that you're going through something. What else? Like, what are your other options? How else can you get support? And even if it's recommending to that person, hey, have you talked to someone, right? Because your child needs to go outside and you're maybe apprehensive about going outside, have you been able to talk to someone so that you can get the support that you need so then you can be a better parent? And that's on any level, right? If we see a parent going through something, we can suggest to them, hey, do you have someone to talk to? Have you sought out someone to talk to? We shouldn't be afraid to have the uncomfortable conversations in an effort to show love and support to others.
Yeah. Dr. Black, do you have patients that are challenged with this, and how do you advise them to balance their mental wellness, the needs of their mental wellness and the needs of their dependents?
Sure. Well, I do see individuals from all walks of life, but in regards to any life stressor, it's always a good idea to understand the difference between your needs and your child's needs. And sometimes we underestimate children's capacity to actually communicate and answer our questions. And sometimes it's hard to actually get those questions and create that space for the child because often the parent or adult or caregiver does not know the question that they need to ask. So if we understand the language that we need to have in order to actually gain an understanding of what is needed, because there are different needs depending on the child's age, developmental level. There are so many different family dynamics, having a two-parent home, a single-parent home, There's so many anomalies that factors in on what determines a need, but also to actually understand and be mindful of the shifts and changes in your child's behavior, because whether it's an infant or a teenager, all of them were impacted, right? So, and also consciously and unconsciously, they're picking up your emotional life, your mood states, and also your behavior.
Yes.
So the behavior that belongs to you and your mood state may mistakenly be transferred to the child. The child becomes reorganized and shaped by that does not really even belong to them. So really just to actually create a space, whether it's anxiety or depression or fear or trauma, whatever it is, life transitions, what is mine and what is my child experiencing? And also just really open up the conversation. What would you like done differently? We often don't like to ask that because of course they want to do everything.
Right.
And
I
now
want to have cotton candy. I want to go
do it.
outside. I want to run in mud.
Exactly.
I want to eat dirt.
Yes, exactly. But we just want an openness, right? So they say, Mommy, I noticed that we haven't seen grandma in 2 months. We need to, because if we mirror that we can ask questions, they're going to ask questions. If we contain it, they're going to learn to contain as well.
That's really good. So ZuShanna, one other question before we go. You have multiple kids that I'm assuming have different personalities, right? So how do you balance, she's like, how do you balance the need of like the introvert versus the extrovert? Like how do you do that?
I think it's exactly what Dr. Black was referring to. It's the communication. It's having that conversation. Because my middle child would like to be outside all day, every day. Like literally, we have been out for 8 hours. We drive up to the house and he's screaming, I don't want to go inside. And we're like, we're tired. We've been outside all day. Versus, the oldest child who's like, I don't have to go nowhere. You have conversations with them and you communicate with them. And then also kind of expressing like certain things are necessary, right? Like none of us may feel like going anywhere. All of us may be tired and not want to go to the birthday party, but we're going to go celebrate this person. We may spend an hour, right? Or vice versa. We are not going anywhere today because we need to rest and recuperate. And I know that we want to like run the streets, but we need to rest. We need to recuperate. We need to clean our home. And having those conversations, instilling that in them, recognizing that for ourselves, that sometimes we can be on the go and sometimes we need to rest. And so just saying that, having those conversations and allowing them to express themselves and their needs, but then also saying, okay, I hear your need. I respect your need. We may not be able to do that today. We're not going to get to go to the donut shop today. Let's look into going to the donut shop next week. We're not able to stay home because we do have this commitment, and just open communication.
That's really good. So they learn how to function in community. That's really, really good. That's really good. Well, thank you, ladies. I had gained such a wealth. Okay, I won't judge my friends. I'm going to let them be in their new normal. I'm going to just show up at their doorstep and let them deal with that. I'm teasing. I will respect people's healthy boundaries.
With food.
Yes.
Food.
They may let you in, they may not.
Food always gets by. Food is always the great offering. Okay. But thank you for clarifying that. I just felt like that was a really good point that we really should have expounded on. So thank you, Dr. Trisa, for bringing that up. Because there are women who actually do struggle with balancing both the needs of their kids, and there are severities, right? Especially those who are dealing with very severe symptoms. And sometimes it's really hard for them to go outside, but they have a child that they really still have to nurture. So thank you for going there. I really felt in my spirit that I needed to touch on that for whatever reason. So hopefully I'm believing it's going to help somebody out there. But as always, you ladies are amazing. Touching on listen, I hope y'all were taking notes out there. Okay, because there was a lot of, like, did you see that pearl? Did you see that gem? Lots of pearls and gems dropping. So once again, thank you for joining on. Dr. Trisa, if they wanted to follow you to find out more about what it's like being a doctor in physical therapy and then managing being a mom at the same time, how can they find you?
TrisaJoe.dpt.
Awesome. And Dr. Black, because everybody's still trying to get on your couch, how can they find you?
For resources, referrals, recommendation, or just advice, you can reach me at drtamalapractice.com.
Awesome. Listen, I'm gonna call her like the mom extraordinaire. I'm gonna add a few titles to you, mom extraordinaire. So if people want to find out more about what else you're sharing, where can they find you?
So it's simply redefining wellnessandcounseling.com. That's a lot. Taska's gonna put it in there.
As always, or you can just simply follow us on Instagram at Healthy Bump Club. Oh, there we go. HealthyBump.club. How about that?
Yeah.
And you will definitely be able to find her because we sure follow her. That's for sure. So definitely, as always, I am Dr. T, the hand behind the handle of Healthy Bump Club right here on YouTube as well. We thank you for joining us and for being a part of this conversation. Share with us, where are you in your mental wellness when it comes to the pandemic? It seems like this topic is never going away. So where are you now? How are you dealing with things? Have you experienced anxiety yourself, an anxiety episode or anxiety disorder? And you want to share with how you have been coping? We would love to hear from you. And for those who feel that you may be suffering from anxiety, you haven't really dealt with it, make sure you get that help you need and tap into the resources that Dr. Black is offering, because we want to make sure that you get the treatment that you deserve as well. And we thank you, ladies and gents, and all who support us here at Healthy Bump Club. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you when? Next episode. And